Hi guys, welcome back to Compounded Everything. For those of you that are new here, my name is Chris and this channel is dedicated to all things investing, finance and business. Now I have started posting a couple of shorter videos on the channel just answering some of your questions that you've been leaving me over the last 12 months in comment sections or via email and things like that. So some of these videos are going to be short and some of them are going to be long, but I would love to hear your feedback on this new format in the comment section below. Anyway guys, enjoy the video. Now, the next question comes from Thomas. This question is actually also a little bit older as well. Thomas has asked, portfolio allocations for ETFs and individual stocks. This is, for me personally, this is a really interesting space at the moment because I don't have a set rule. I have in the past. Right now, I don't. If I believe that I can buy great companies that have great long-term prospects, 10, 20, 30 years, or even longer, I will happily put a large percentage of my portfolio into that company. But there are so many factors here that can be taken out of context when someone hears me saying that. For example, what's my risk tolerance? Do I have an emergency fund? How long do I not need that money for, or do I never need that money if it goes pear-shaped? All of these different things matter in your own personal situation, and there's a list of hundreds of those individual identifiers that you have to figure out before you decide if you should be investing large amounts of your portfolio into individual companies. But myself personally, I don't look at percentages too much. I look at risk tolerance. My personal situation right now is different to a lot of people. I'm not working full-time. I'm at university full-time. So although I have my company still paying me, I have to be very careful with how I allocate funds in my portfolio. So I try and keep things relatively conservative. I do hold positions in multiple ETFs, and I also hold positions in a couple of individual companies right now. So if right now the allocations are probably 70-30 in the way of individual to ETF, but I'd be happy if that was 100-0 in the way of individual companies as well, if that were the case. Now, before I move on from that question, when it comes to risk tolerances and portfolio allocations and things like that, I have a bit of a safety mechanism that I use for myself as well, away from emergency funds and cash and portfolios and things like this. I have what I call the Chris hedge. It's the hedge against myself, which is me dollar cost averaging into index funds every month. These will never be funds that are pulled out from and put into securities until I'm at a point where the result of me owning or selling securities is irrelevant to my financial freedom or financial independence. So that sounds like a bit of a mouthful, but essentially if I have enough money from securities to live a full life and then some, then yes, I would happily sell my Chris hedge and put it into different things or spend it or whatever it might be. But right now, I do have a Chris hedge. It simply is me buying into index funds and literally forgetting it is there. I literally only log into that account when I'm purchasing more each month. I don't really care about the balance. It's irrelevant to me because I know, the index fund is performing for me over a 30, 40, 50 year period, not a 5 or a 10 or a 1 year period or whatever it might be. So I hope that answered your question. And yes, that's kind of how I manage or hedge against myself and potentially making mistakes on my end long term as well. So the next question is from BMO. BMO has asked, how much of your savings do you like to invest? So this is kind of like the portfolio allocation question. I don't have a set amount. It's changing depending on my risk tolerances and, of course, my emergency fund. So currently my emergency fund is about 9 months. It sits anywhere between 6 and 18 months, depending on how many risks I'm taking in my life professionally. For example, I'm not working right now, so I like to have my emergency fund buffered right up just in case, my company isn't paying me as much in a year. Well, I can kind of fall back on my emergency fund until, I get things, straightened out again. So for me, I don't really have a set percentage cash all the time. However, If I'm entering a position, for example, right now I'm entering an individual security. I have been entering one for about the last 2 weeks. I buy X amount every single day. I do like to keep a certain percentage of that final position in cash, hoping that the security just, tanks it one day, 3, 5, 10%. Because then I can, grab some more. Because I am holding these for a long period of time. However, there is a point where all of that cash is distributed. So I generally speaking, when I'm entering a new position, will buy in 25%, give or take, on the first day. When I've done my research, I'm ready to buy in. I'll buy 25% of my final position on the first day, and then I will buy chunks all the way through for the next month. Especially if the share price is slowly declining, which in 2 cases for me right now, that has been the case with holdings. I'll just keep buying every month, bit by bit. I don't try and time it too much. And if there's a really big drop-off or a big gap down, I'll buy even more. But most of the time, I do like to keep some cash aside just in case one of these companies sells off. I can throw more into it, or just in case a new opportunity comes up, which is often the case. More than not, once I've got a position established, especially if it's 6, 12, 18 months into the position, I'm normally not adding too much more to it. But I am always looking for new opportunities, and you might only get 1 to 5 of them every year if you're lucky. So having cash there helps with that. And yes, it's a bit of a pain in times like this where the market's going crazy, because I probably do have more than 50% cash right now. However, I'm comfortable in that because I have 2 positions that I'm comfortably working my way into their total holding amounts. And then the rest can just sit there until I find something else that I'm interested in buying. So yes, I don't really have a set amount, BMO, but I hope that does sort of help. I guess you understand how I sort of structure things. It's very fluid. I make sure that I'm set here at home. If everything's fine, emergency fund's good, I'm happy to go all out, pending that everything's lining up the way I want it to be. Now, the next question is from Jake Morrell. He asked this one, earlier this year, so I do apologize for not getting back to you sooner, Jake. The question is, what are my thoughts on the FIRE community, and does it have merit, and do you believe in it? Great question, Jake. I think that anything that leads people towards financial freedom is a great thing. However, for me personally, I'm not a FIRE person. I've never been an overly frugal person. I do like to save money. The bulk of where I save money is when I'm purchasing something, trying to get it for the best possible price. I'm not someone that's going to go without for the sake of getting rich. Mainly because I sort of established early on that I prefer making more money and putting that into the market than making less money and living at a lower level and then putting that into the market. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. The people that can do this whole FIRE movement, more credit to them, because it's a great amount of discipline that they're showing to be able to live that way. For me, just based off my personal experiences and my life experiences so far, I'm more of a FIRE guy than a FIRE guy. I do believe in financial independence. I do believe there has to be some sort of sacrifice from an early age where you are dollar costing your way into any form of sustainable long-term investments, because ultimately there are so many carry-on effects from doing that. So in short, do I believe in FIRE? Yes, I think if it suits you, nothing wrong with it. Would I do it myself? No. Maybe in a different life, but no, it's not for me. I think that there are plenty of ways to, especially if you're 20 or 30 years old or younger, there are plenty of ways to compound wealth. And you don't have to give up, lifestyle choices or luxury lifestyle choices if that's your thing to do it. It helps if you do, but you don't have to. And I know there's the argument that you're not really giving these things up. You're just being more frugal. And okay, if you can do that, more power to you. That's great. For me, I like to experience a lot of things. I'm always buying and trying and doing new things to keep my mind busy. And if I hadn't had those habits for the last 15 years, I might have triple or quadruple my net worth. I also wouldn't have the life experiences that I have from experiencing these different things in the way I did. So I think there's a fine line between FIRE and FI and any form of compounding over a long period of time and financial freedom. I think if you want to retire at 40 or 50, you don't really have a choice unless you're making crazy dollars early or you're doing the fire move, the fire steps. And in that case, I don't know if there's much better for it. But yes, each to their own, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it at all. I know some great people here in the YouTube community and through Instagram and some other places who love fire, and they're killing it. So good on them. So yeah, hope that answers your question, Jake. Anyway, guys, that does bring me to the end of this video. If you are interested in asking a question that might be featured on this channel in a video just like this, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. I'm going to be trying to make a lot more of these shorter videos, just answering simple questions when I can, and when I can't answer them, we'll try and do a bit of research together and try and find the solution. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. I appreciate your time, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.